Paloma here from Betterment, Better Me Natural Transformations. Welcome. Today we're going to talk about harnessing the power of our words. We hear a lot that we need to be careful about the words we choose to use when we think about ourselves, when we think about other people, and of course also when we speak. I am being the two most powerful words in the English language. We hear that, we know that. Sometimes we don't think about the depth that really has, the depth of the impact that those words have in our lives, on our feelings, and on the choices that we make. And that's what we're going to look into today. First, what is a word? Internally, a word is a series of electrical impulses in our neurological system between our neurons that create a series of biochemical reactions. We call that whole process thoughts, sometimes emotion. Externally, words are just noise. They're just noises that people have assigned meaning to. Of course, they're also scribbles that people have assigned meaning to. That's all. And yet they do have so much power. How does that happen? The power comes from the meaning that we attach to it, the biochemical response that we assign to that particular electrical impulse or series of electrical impulses. So, some words that trigger a very strong emotional response for people: old, leader, power, money, rich, happiness, any name of any emotion, the name of any person that we feel very strongly about, positively or negatively. They're all just noises. They're all just electrical impulses, but we attach the meaning. What's amazing about language is that we can change that meaning. How many words do you use now that 10 years ago you wouldn't have used? How many words do you use today that your parents would not have heard of when they were kids? Google is now a noun and a verb. Most people had never heard of that word 50 years ago. There are so many other words that we don't use anymore, or that we have changed the meanings assigned to those noises, to those scribbles, to those electrical impulses. So we have the power to change that. Can we change it for everyone in the culture? No, that's not our responsibility. We might contribute to a change in the entire culture, but what about our internal culture? Not just the external one, because the internal one is what creates the decisions that we make every day, that creates our lives. So how do we change the meaning of a particular word internally? Well, first, don't we have to know what a word means to us now? For example, I have a lot of friends who are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and most of them have this very strong, visceral, negative response to the word old. I have often told children, oh yeah, Paloma's old. And to me, it's not a negative thing. I just realized from their perspective, I'm really old. When they're 3, 4, 5, 10 years old, I'm ancient. That's how I felt about people my age when I was their age. But I noticed that a lot of my friends who are older than me, not old, but older than me, in their 50s, 60s, 70s, a lot of them really feel very strongly that that's a bad word. Old is a negative thing. It's a bad thing. It's something you don't want to be used to describe yourself. And I started to think about why. Why is it that I don't feel that way? I remember being a little kid and wanting to be old, not like decrepit old, but older. I wanted to be an adult. I just wanted to skip childhood and get to being an adult. Of course, once you are an adult, you want to go back, right? But why? Why did I feel that way? Because to me, I had a different definition. I have a different definition of the word old, a different emotional response internally. The dictionary definition hasn't changed. It doesn't change when anyone reads it. It doesn't matter who reads it, it's the same definition. But what's the emotional response? For a lot of people, old means losing your faculties, losing your freedom, not having the things, the ability that to do the things, to have the things that you want. To me, being old meant something completely different. I remember often at my grandmother's house, my aunts and my mom and my grandmother would sit around the table. And of course, they were all, to me, they were old. Don't hate me. They were old at the time, but they would sit around the table and during our afternoon, like rest time, they would have snacks and they would talk about the important things going on in the world. They would talk about the things that they wanted. They would talk about the stories from the past. And they were respected. They were appreciated. They were powerful. They were capable. That is what old meant to me. So to be older meant I have the ability to participate around the table of people discussing life's issues. If I had something to say, I could have said it. I wasn't expected to be silent. But I had nothing to contribute. I was 5, 6 years old. I didn't know much about the world. At least I thought I had nothing to contribute. Didn't even understand half the words they used. But to me, old meant having power, being powerful, being respected, being worthy of respect, being wise, being capable, having freedom. So when I tell little kids, oh yeah, Paloma's old, it's okay. It doesn't upset me. They will say to me, oh, Paloma, you're old. Yeah, I know. You'll be old someday too. What does old mean to you? What does it mean to you to be a leader, to be a grandma? What does it mean to you to be an employer or an employee or a business owner? Are those different to you? What are the emotional responses? What about being tall or short, or from this place or from that place? What does the word mean to you inside? What do you want it to mean? How do you want to feel? Do you want to feel empowered and capable? Then pick a word that means that and assign it to yourself. Use those words in the way that you talk about yourself internally and externally, vocally, when you're speaking about yourself to other people. Also, when you're speaking about yourself to yourself, that's of course the most important. But give it a try. Pick a word, notice maybe in the next week, a word that really makes you, oof, I don't like, don't call me that. I don't like that. Why do you feel that way? Take a few minutes to think about it and decide how you want to feel. Okay, so you know how you don't want to feel. How do you want to feel? Can you change the word? Can you look for proof that shows you what that word means, that word means what you want it to mean? Can you look for evidence of that? I found evidence of old being a good thing. Can you find that evidence? If not, change the word. You can also just decide, okay, that word may mean that in the dictionary. Sometimes it helps to look up what the word means in the dictionary. Sometimes it takes away that emotional connection. You can always decide, you can tell yourself, I want to disconnect this emotion from that word. That's oversimplifying it, but it's possible. Take a look at the words that you're using to describe yourself. Take a look at what they really mean and decide what you want them to mean for you. And then you can challenge the people around you to do the same. Find words that mean beautiful, wonderful things to you and share them, give them to someone else. Hey, I think you are whatever. And if you want to call me old, that's okay. I think it's a compliment. I'm okay with it. I love it when kids call me old, because never do they say it in a negative way. Never. They've never said it to me that way. It's always been positive. Like, oh, you're older than me. You know something I don't know. You have something I don't have. And someday I want to have that too. So, what are the words that you want to change? Let me know in the comments below. And do all of the subscribe and like and share, all that stuff. Again, if there's anything that you want a different perspective on, anything you want to know more about, any questions that you have, let us know and we'll do our best to answer them. Thank you so much for spending this last little bit with me, and I look forward to seeing you next time.